Welcome to our poi tutorial on tossing 2, poi out in front of the body and behind the back.
What's up, Flomies? Jesse Hart of Full Circle Phenomenal here. Welcome to the Sacred Flow Art channel. And welcome to the middle of the world. The northern hemisphere on my left and the southern hemisphere on my right. We're just north of Quito, Ecuador, just south of the border of Colombia. This is the projected equator, though some speculate that there are other places that are more accurate, which perhaps we'll explore later on down the line. Please remember to like and subscribe, as well as hit the notification bell to be notified of our 2 new videos in 4K Ultra HD coming at you every single week here on the Sacred Flow Art channel. Today we'll be warming up our hand-to-eye coordination as to get started on our poi juggling, tossing both poi at the same time, here from the northern hemisphere to the southern hemisphere and back again. Let's get started.
Heading over to the oeste side, or the west side of the monument, it's really an amazing experience to be here and have that kind of nifty experience of being in 2 places at once. We found that this side, though, is definitely more suiting for this tutorial. We'll start off as we do, wrapping up one poi in one hand and getting the other one spinning in reverse. And the objective here is to release the poi when it's on its way up, which is when it's straight out in front of you, not when it's going straight up, because that will actually send it behind you. Once it's lifting, we just gently toss it, almost as simply as releasing it, letting the momentum carrying it. Do this a few times, not too many times with one hand, but go just into a pendulum or a spin, lift it, and catch it. Then we'll challenge ourselves and spin it in the opposite direction. Notice how I lifted the hand grip up and then pushed it up, still rotating that poi head right around its center. Then we can pendulum it, practice penduluming it a couple times with that hand. And this is all up to you. We're going to be going over just a few different techniques and warming up this skill of actually releasing both poi at the same time, working up towards that juggling. Now let's do the opposite hand. Same thing, reverse spin, gently lift it up and release it, letting the handle rotate around the poi head. Doing our best to just get that poi head to go straight up and straight down. We'll show you here in a moment how it's going in basically a straight line, not actually doing any sort of rotating. Then the opposite direction, lifting it up and pushing out that tether around the poi head manually. Grabbing the tether itself, it's good if you can get the grip back into your hand, but also practice the skill of simply grabbing the tether and gently letting it slide down until you have the grip, whatever your grip is, back in your hand. This is a bit more of a challenge if you don't have contact poi with weighted hand grips. But go ahead and experiment with whatever poi that you have. Let's do both poi now. Spinning them both in reverse, gently lift, release up, as little energy as possible. See if you can just see that moving in slow motion. And just go for grabbing them. Grabbing both of those tethers with both hands, as you're going to maybe have to just pay attention to them in your peripheral vision. Here's a slow motion example so you can really hone in on when I release those poi, when they're flat with the ground, so the momentum carries them straight up in a straight line and then straight down with the tethers and the hand grips rotating around, and I bring my hands back to the same position and catch them with relative ease. Do your best not to let the weighted hand grips, though, hit you in the wrist, as that can be a bit painful. And then moving this in a gentle pace, penduluming it. The objective here is to not go fast, but we do want to be able to nail this 2, maybe 3 times in a row consistently. And so focusing on the breath, on the body posture, on the flow of the poi, on the releasing of the poi, but also about the amount of energy that you're applying to them. What is the least amount of energy you need in order to release them and have them float practically all the way around to the other side? Now let's do the opposite direction with both poi. So lifting them up, throwing those tethers straight up over the head. Now this time you have to practice really pressing those hand grips straight up and letting the balls rotate around themselves. You'll notice here I grab the tethers pretty far up the line. That's just been the way that I've kind of adapted to this. But notice which way is comfortable for you. Ultimately, it's about experimentation. See if you can get the hand grips, get the tethers. In time, we will also maybe turn this into a contact poi trick and catch the balls themselves. Once that becomes comfortable for you, let's do something that's actually quite different, which is tossing them behind ourselves. We toss them both straight behind ourselves at the same time and then turn the body. You can't do it simultaneously. This is the trick. You release and then turn, and it happens in a split second. And if you're not careful, it's quite easy to throw them too far or unevenly. But you'll notice here in this slow motion how I release them kind of right underneath my armpits. Poi head's moving straight up. Then I turn, get my eyes focused in that in between them, and then guide my hands to those tethers. And then continue the spin and flowing into it as smoothly as possible. Let's see that again, this time in real time. Release, turn, catch, and continue the flow. You cannot do this one at a time as that's different muscle memory. Let's see it from the back. This time I've crossed them, so I've actually adapted to turn this trick into a little bit of a juggle where I'm actually crossing them and catching the opposite poi. There's many different variations. Comment on which ones you've discovered. Thank you for joining us on our Unite the World Firsthand Drive Around the Whole World journey. Please support these videos and us and our projects by heading over to patreon.com/Unite the World Firsthand. Continue on your poi progress by clicking one of these video links. Don't forget to subscribe and follow along our journey in depth by heading over to the Full Circle Phenomenal YouTube channel. Link is next to our name in the video description. Thanks so much for watching.